don't say. Born to play. Every day don't say. Hello.
Good evening, I'm Lou Goldstein, and welcome to part 2 of our interview with gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli. So Jack, thank you very much for coming and staying and extending our conversation. So in our first part of the interview, which everybody can watch, is we covered a lot of issues and what will happen when Governor Ciattarelli takes place in January. So the question is, you're looking to reach out to everyone in the state of New Jersey. There's Republicans, there's Democrats, there's independents who are leaning. They can't figure out exactly should they just stay with the horse they're on right now in midstream, or should they jump. So what are some of the things that you can assure them that when you take office, if you're elected in November, the reasons why they should back your candidacy as opposed to the incumbent Governor Murphy?
Best way, Lou, to get somebody's attention is talk about how you're going to hit their wallet or their pocketbook.
Right.
And New Jersey is the most taxed state in the nation. In fact, a recent study out of a national CPA journal found that over the course of their lifetime, the average New Jerseyan pays more in taxes than the citizen of any other state. We were dead last once again. Right. It was close to $950,000. Massachusetts came in second to last, but at least they were $100,000 better than us in terms of total taxes. We need to relieve the tax burden for New Jersey citizens, and I mean citizens of all ages. So, as an MBA CPA, I know exactly what we need to do to our tax code to make it better for people to live here in New Jersey, and I'm talking about people of all ages, make it better for people to start a business here, and right. I'm hoping we can talk about some of those ideas.
So what are some of the ideas that you have to reform the tax code?
Well, number one, let's talk about young people, because this is a state where young people have a hard time getting started. And you know this, we do a great job of graduating our K through 12 students. Dirty little secret about New Jersey, those that go out of state of college, New Jersey leads the nation in the fewest that come back. That portends really bad things for future economic vitality, entrepreneurship, and enterprise. So we want people to come back. So here's what I'm willing to do. Let's allow people to deduct student loan interest on their New Jersey tax return. Let's allow first-time homeowners to deduct mortgage interest. If you come from out of state and go to one of our state schools, we'll give you in-state tuition in your sophomore, junior, and senior year if you change your residency to New Jersey and prove that you're earning at least $3,000 a year in wages. That's something other states have done with success. A lot of times, Lou, these ideas don't have to be original. Just look at what other states are doing to be competitive. So those are things that we can do for young people to help get started here. And I hope we have time to talk about what I have in mind for senior citizens.
Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about not just seniors, but also veterans, and also those in education, as well as those who are currently worried about their taxes and are actually leaving the state, as well as businesses too. So let's take them one at a time, right? So let's talk a little about seniors and veterans and how they would be affected.
So let's talk about seniors and veterans. Here's something I want to do. Let's do what Pennsylvania does. All retirement income should be tax-free. That's not the case here in New Jersey. The other thing I think we should do is freeze people's property taxes at age 65. Those kind of programs, those kind of initiatives have worked around the nation. And considering how punishing the property tax is. Lou, you only pay more income tax if you earn more. You only pay more sales tax if you buy more. The property tax, you get older, you use less services, and the tax continues to go up, pushing people out of their homes. And I got to tell you, Lou, if I got to hear from one more person that bought and I know you've heard this too, if I got to hear from one more person that's bought a 4-bedroom house in North Carolina and they're paying less than $4,000 in taxes, I'm going to scream. We've got to address this issue. Unfortunately, we've got a governor that stood up and said, if taxes are your issue, we're probably not your state. Then he turned around and said he wanted to make New Jersey the California of the East Coast. I mean, it's just, to me, that's tone deaf. It's out of touch. It shows no sympathy or empathy whatsoever for the things that concern New Jerseyans most. So these are just some of the ideas that I have in mind to address the issues that bother New Jerseyans the most. I'll give you another example. Melinda and I recently improved the bathroom at the house. And we did the right thing. We generated revenue for the town by paying for the permits, spurred the economy with a pretty significant investment to improve the downstairs bathroom. After 23 years in the house, it was time. 2 weeks after I got the CO, the front doorbell rang. tax assessor.
Oh my gosh.
I said, can I help you? He said, well, you know, you've done a home improvement. We need to reassess your home. I said, let me ask you, was the assessment on my home going down over the 23 years that we were beating up the bathroom? She said, no, it doesn't work that way. I said, I know. 2 weeks after she left, my property taxes went up. I'm telling you, under Governor Ciattarelli, you do a home improvement, we cannot reassess your home to drive up your property taxes. I think these are just some of the very reasonable, common sense things that we can do to make people feel like we're on their side.
Right.
Instead of looking to punish them every time they do something, including when they do something right. So let's get people feeling good about New Jersey again. We can do it.
Okay. So, Jack, right now we're, in hopefully at the end of a pandemic, hopefully, but I think as we go into 2022, people who may have, lost their jobs or their businesses are going to be looking and saying, okay, if this new guy comes in, this Jersey guy, who's been born in Jersey, bred in Jersey, and knows the Jersey issue comes in, how is he going to improve the job situation? How is he going to help me? How am I going to get back on my feet? How whether they be women or children or single parent households, how is it going to improve my life?
My job is to make people feel confident that they can achieve the two things that everybody wants. I mean,
Right.
I think one of the things that's always made me successful in winning elections is I've always gone out and talked about the two things that everybody wants. Republicans, Democrats, male, female, black, white, brown, people of all ages. There's two things everybody wants,
Right.
opportunity and security. And I believe a common sense conservative approach provides those two things best. And here in New Jersey, we need changes to our tax code that will make more opportunity and create security for people. And so I'm talking about creating the best business environment in the nation. We can create more jobs so that people can find the job that they want, the job of their dreams, or maybe start the business. I mean, the American dream is defined a number of ways: home ownership and owning your own business. Okay? 2/3 of New Jerseyans want to leave, Lou.
Yep.
If they want to leave, they're not going to start a business here. If they're not going to start a business here, our economy is not going to thrive. So I've got changes in mind for the tax code, particularly as someone that's owned two businesses.
Right.
For example, let's make the first $50,000 of business income tax-free, so you can recoup your investment or pour it back into the business.
Okay.
Let's make the gain on the sale of a family-owned business tax-free. Okay? We hand out all kinds of billion-dollar corporate tax credits to the big corporations. What do we do for the little guy on Main Street?
Right.
Not a whole lot.
The mom and pop stores.
The mom and pop shops, right? What kind of grant programs do we have out there to help people get started, right?
Right.
I mean, these are all the kind of things that we can do, again, to turn New Jersey around. And I will tell you, again, as a business owner, I've been fortunate. I've sold my two businesses. I paid my capital gains to the federal government. The check I had to cut to the state of New Jersey was criminal. The state of New Jersey never did anything for me.
Right.
Not that I asked for it, but I created jobs. And then what did New Jersey do when I went and sold my business? They punished me with a tax bill that was off the charts. Let's make the gain on the sale of a family-owned business tax-free. Watch entrepreneurship take off in New Jersey.
So we're coming up on a new school year, okay? And, the landscape's a little bit different. So basically, are we ready for it, you think?
I think some school districts are. I wish some others were better prepared, and Phil Murphy's still sitting on a whole lot of federal relief funds that could have helped them better prepare in terms of air ventilation systems and the like. But listen, as governor, I'm all about the public health and safety. That's my first priority. I do believe we need to get our children back in school. And so let's see how it goes, but I do believe we need to be open this September. What the governor did recently is he gave teachers a choice.
Right.
He gave teachers a choice. You can either be vaccinated, or if you decide not to get vaccinated, you have to subject yourself to weekly testing. I think that's the right policy, quite frankly.
Okay.
I can't see forcing the vaccine on anybody.
Right.
But what he didn't do is give parents a choice. And therein lies the hypocrisy. NJEA wanted a choice for its members. Phil Murphy gave NJEA what they wanted. Parents want a choice. They want the choice of whether or not to mask their children. Some parents want the choice of whether or not to virtual learn. He's not giving them that choice. And that hypocrisy is what infuriates people. I think you got to be very, very, very consistent in your policies. I don't see any consistency there. I see inconsistency. And in the inconsistency, I see hypocrisy.
When you're talking about hypocrisy, also, very recently, it was proposed that the gas tax be reduced, starting October 1st, I believe. And, but also, the fact that tolls are going up. Okay, can you talk a little bit about that, and would that be something that would exist during your administration too?
So the legislature, and I voted no on this bill, put into the legislation that there would be an automatic increase or decrease in the gas tax every single year. And what we saw in 2019 and 20 are very, very significant increases in the gas tax. 25 cents at a clip. It's up significantly from where it was 3 years ago. We used to be the lowest in the nation. We're now one of the highest in the nation. Welcome to New Jersey. So for a lot of people, they might look at that and say, oh, it's down 8 cents. Over the last 36 months, it is up significantly. And on top of that, tolls were increased last year. And what bothered me most about that, and I think we might have talked about this in one of the earlier segments, the public hearings for the toll increases, Phil Murphy ordered to take place during the shelter-in-place order. So at the height of the pandemic, when there was a shelter-in-place order, Phil Murphy approved of the public hearings taking place. Who the hell's going to go to a public hearing? Even if by Zoom, when you're distracted by this thing known as COVID-19 and a pandemic. When New Jersey was leading the nation, particularly in our nursing homes, in COVID-19 deaths. I just think it was the height of irresponsibility and arrogance on the part of the governor for those public hearings to take place for toll increases. And let's not forget, tolls on the Atlantic City Expressway and the Garden State Parkway, for a lot of people, that's a local road. They use those roads to go to the supermarket.
It's true. If you were the governor, would you have opened our schools and opened our economy sooner than what Governor Murphy did last September?
Yes, he shut down too much for too long. I don't think we should have been at 35% indoor dining late summer and fall. Hospitality, restaurants, employ 300,000 New Jerseyans. How many of them were put out of work, and those businesses have closed their doors forever? 1 out of 3 small businesses have closed their doors forever. These were mom and pop shops that were in families for decades. So I do think he shut down too much for too long, Lou. I do not think at the end of last summer and last fall we should have been at 35% indoor dining. I don't think we should have been shutting restaurants at 10 o'clock because the virus is more contagious at 10:01 than it is at 9:59. I didn't really understand that. My wife and I share a house together. We live together. We can't sit together at a bar and eat our meal or have a drink together. Look at what happened last summer. He ordered the restaurants he allowed them to open, he said, on July 1st. They brought in all of their provisions, and then on July 3rd, shut them down on the eve of the July 4th weekend. The Jersey Shore really has only 13 weeks to make their buck. So these are some of the things that bother me greatly about the governor's decisions. They didn't seem to be based on any real science. And again, I'm not being cavalier about this virus. We know who the most vulnerable are, and we need to remain vigilant. And I am vaccinated. And I promoted my vaccination, and I encourage others to get vaccinated. So I'm not, again, diminishing how lethal this virus can be, particularly for those that seem to be the most vulnerable. At the same time, you've got to get the economy open again. There's a human cost, and we've seen it, in terms of alcoholism, addiction, children not being vaccinated with their other vaccinations, not the COVID-19 vaccination. We've seen this time and again. The demand for mental health professionals has never been greater. There's great strain. People need structure. They need their normal lives back. So the job of a governor, I think, is to get back to normal without sacrificing a single life.
Okay. Parents right now are very concerned. They're concerned. They see the variants, the Delta variant and other variants of the virus coming out, and they're concerned that if the numbers keep ticking up, that there may be another shutdown, going forward. If that happens, if you were the governor right now, would you shut things down?
I would not shut things down right now. I think the medical professionals are perfectly accurate when they say that this epidemic is an epidemic of the unvaccinated. In fact, just this morning, I read a newspaper where 96% of those people that have been hospitalized are those people that haven't been vaccinated. So, and with regard to the Delta variant, obviously we've learned children are much more vulnerable to the Delta variant than the COVID-19 that we saw last year. And we need to protect our most vulnerable. That's our seniors and our children. Here's the really good news. Nearly 3 out of every 4 New Jersey adults are vaccinated. And that's why we're not seeing the Delta variant have the effect here in New Jersey as it is in other states. That doesn't mean we can't be vigilant. It doesn't mean we can't look after our seniors and our children, most of all. But the good news is our high vaccination rates here in New Jersey have kept the Delta variant kind of at bay compared to other states that have much lower vaccination rates.
Okay. Now, polls show that you're making headway and trending, with independents and Republicans, and even getting some Democrats, to go to your side. So, come November 2nd, if you are elected governor, what would the first 100 days of your administration look like? What type of people would you be looking at in your cabinet? I'm not talking about names, but just the backgrounds of people and the diversity, and what could we expect to see in the first 100 days of a Governor Ciattarelli's administration?
So that's a $46 billion enterprise with 65,000 employees, and every single member of my cabinet will be competent and have come from the ground up in their respective area of expertise. So that means my Department of Labor Commissioner will not be a political appointee. It'll be someone that understands what the Department of Labor is supposed to do to protect workers, but also help our business community thrive. I mean, that's what I'm looking for in each one of my cabinet positions, competency. We've got a $46 billion enterprise with 65,000 employees to run, and we're going to run it. So that's the first thing you'll see. The second thing you'll see is me going all around the state, and most specifically to those areas that may not have voted for me. I'm there to tell them that I'm proud to be your governor, even though you didn't vote for me, and let's work together now to make New Jersey better. And the third thing is, on day one, right after the election, I will begin work on the first budget. You can't wait till you're sworn in, because 6 weeks after you're sworn in, you have to present your first budget.
It's true.
It's $46 billion. And we need to reprioritize how we're going to spend taxpayer dollars. He's up $11 billion in 3.5 years. That's more than a 30% increase from Chris Christie's last budget. We need to reprioritize, Lou, how we're going to spend our money.
Right. Should individuals who have pensions right now be worried?
Not one bit.
That nothing's going to be cut as far as their pensions or health benefits?
Public employees, I promised them, okay, their monthly check is going to be there. And let me say one other thing with regard to public employees.
Yeah.
It has never been harder or more stressful to be a local law enforcement officer. And I think a lot of that has to do with the wrong kind of rhetoric and the directives that have come out of this Attorney General with the support of the governor. And we need to support our men and women in blue. Are there bad cops? You bet there are. There are bad teachers, there's bad CPAs, and we want to weed them out.
Right.
There are never bad TV personalities, Lou, but listen, we need to support our men and women in blue.
Right.
And we're going to reverse a number of these directives that I think undermine our local police, disarm them, handcuff them. I mean, in our adult lifetime, Lou, when have we ever seen curfews on the Jersey Shore? When have we ever had firework displays canceled?
Right.
Because flash mobs are showing up in our Jersey Shore towns and our cops can't do their job? We need to observe the rule of law, and we need to give our local law enforcement the tools they need to get the job done.
Okay, I'm glad we're at the Jersey Shore, because it's a big tourist travel, destination. How can we increase revenue, to the state too? You have a background as CPA, so I'm sure you did a little analysis of this. How can we, generate more revenue?
We have to understand first and foremost that that's a 13-week season primarily, especially along the boardwalk.
Right.
But the Jersey Shore is much bigger than just the boardwalk environment, if you will.
Right.
And people have to know that this could be a 12-month-of-the-year destination. It's magnificent at the Jersey Shore.
Right.
We are fortunate enough to have a place in Surf City on Long Beach Island. We still love going down there in the off-season.
Right.
So there's a lot to do down there. But here's what I will do. Okay. Under Corzine and Christie, the Department of Commerce dissolved. I'm bringing back the Department of Commerce. I'm going to rename it the Department of Commerce and Economic Development. Its commissioner will be a cabinet level position. And reporting into that commissioner will be 4 deputy commissioners. One responsible for economic development in North Jersey, Central Jersey, South Jersey, and Jersey Shore.
Right.
We've got 4 regions in this state that are all critically important to our overall state economy. Each one of those regions has different unique attributes, but its own set of challenges. And we need each one of those regions to have an advocate in Trenton working with policymakers on what it is that we need to do to promote economic development. Right. I'll also tell you on that Department of Commerce and Economic Development will be a commission on international trade and foreign investment.
Okay.
We're lacking in this area. I just came back from a 3-day trip to Israel as part of my gubernatorial campaign. Last year, Lou, $14 billion in Israeli private equity money poured into New York. You know how much came into New Jersey?
How much?
$1 billion.
Okay.
New York is beating us 14-1 with Israeli private equity money. We can't have that. We've got to declare economic war on our neighbors. We've got to be regionally competitive, or people are not going to be able to achieve their American dream here in New Jersey. So these are the things that we need to do, and I will as governor.
Okay. So I know you're a Jersey guy. What was it like growing up in New Jersey? And, what do you miss the most?
It's great. It's always been wonderful. It was a great middle-class upbringing in Raritan Borough, little Italian enclave in the heart of Somerset County.
Right.
And we walked to school. We rode our bikes. I'll never forget that St. Bernard's Church down the main street had a bell tower, and the bell would ring at 4:45, and that told you had 15 minutes to get home, because dinner was going to be on the table at 5, and you didn't miss dinner.
Right.
You didn't miss dinner. So listen, I think we need to get back to Sunday dinners, Lou. Listen, I want government to be something citizens can be proud of, but know this, government can't solve all problems. Families can.
Right.
We need to get back sitting around the table together. And government may be there to do its job, but parents need to do theirs. And the best way to do that is make sure we're sitting around that dinner table again. That's my fondest memory of childhood, sitting around the dinner table with my siblings, my mom and dad. We didn't always agree, but we were there for each other. And family solves things that governments never can.
No. Unfortunately, we're too much of a cell phone society right now. You go into restaurants, you see it at home, people are just looking at their cell phones while they're at the table with one another.
The whole paradox, Lou, is you hear that we've never been better connected, but yet society seems like it's never been more impersonal.
Yeah.
I think we could all get back to maybe a short course in human relations.
Maybe. Never hurts. So I think also, we really haven't talked about your family. So tell us a little about your family. Are they giving you best advice on the campaign so far?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's just great to have a loving family. This isn't easy. It's not easy for the candidate, and I'm not complaining. I love it. It's not easy on the family. You're out of the house 7 days a week, 18 hours a day, but many times they're out there with me, and that's a lot of fun.
Right.
I love the fact that the kids are seeing me take on this challenge. And you never get too high, you never get too low. You just keep doing what you got to do each and every day, like those of us that get up and go to work every single day. That's what my parents always did. Just got up and went to work every single day. And so, but no, they're great. Listen, Melinda and I have been married 27 years. Our daughter Alexa is a digital marketing strategist on sabbatical right now from her employer in Baltimore to help us out on the campaign. Our 24-year-old son is a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army, 10th Mountain Division, and is getting ready to go overseas. And our third, Anthony Joseph, he's 23, and he's a licensed diesel mechanic with a large quarry here in New Jersey and does extremely well. And our fourth, 21-year-old Matthew, is going back to Montclair State for his junior year.
Nice.
Lou, I've been blessed.
Yeah.
I've been blessed. I've been very fortunate. We've worked hard. We've never taken anything for granted. And I'm proud of the job my wife and I have done in raising our children. They're all very, very respectful, decent, self-reliant individuals who would help their neighbor any day of the week.
Well, tell us a little bit about your new extended member of the family, your choice for Lieutenant Governor, Diane Allen.
Well, it's great to have her on the ticket. I think the world of Diane. She was a champion in the legislature for women's rights, fierce advocate for women, extremely well respected on both sides of the aisle. And as I've often said, if there was a Mount Rushmore of New Jersey legislators, she'd be on it. And so very, very knowledgeable. It's just great to have her on the ticket. Listen, my first qualification was competence. Diane is competent. But it's great to have a woman on the ticket. It's great to have South Jersey on the ticket. It's great to have two of us. We can now be in two places at the same time. And so I'm really, really happy about the ticket. And it's been well received all up and down the state on both sides of the aisle.
It's good. And, compromise is going to be a hallmark of the future if things are going to get done. How are you going to effectuate compromise with Republicans, Democrats, Independents, anybody that needs to be, consulted, and working things out? Leadership
and style matter. Now listen, I'm the Republican nominee. I'm the standard bearer for the Republican Party. That means that I'm campaigning not just for myself, but for all 120 Republicans that are running for the state legislature this year. 40 Senate seats, 80 Assembly seats. But the day after the election, the people have spoken, and I've got an obligation to work with everyone who's in Trenton, no matter what their party affiliation may be, and I always have. I've never been identified as an ideologue or rigid in my ideology or a hyper-partisan. I believe what I believe, and I don't back down from what I believe, but I also understand that the legislature, and I came from it, is an equal branch of government. And I don't think it's any accident that the person who's recognized as the best governor we ever had, Tom Kean Sr., came from the legislature. In fact, he came from the Assembly. He was never in the Senate. In fact, when he ran for governor, he wasn't even a sitting assemblyman. I've got those three things going for me. Let's see if we can make magic work again.
There you go. You never know. I think one of the big things, too, is that you've been all over the state. You've been campaigning all over the state. You've been campaigning in non-traditional areas as far as Republicans are concerned. And, it just seems like you're all over. North Jersey, South Jersey, Central Jersey, and people are getting to know you. What's the most important thing they should know about you?
I really appreciate what you're saying, because I want people to see, and that's one of the great benefits of social media today. Yeah. They can see how hard I'm working, and I enjoy every second of it. They not only see how hard I'm working, they see where I'm going, and people need to see that. I'm looking to be the representative of all 9.2 million citizens. And what I very much enjoy doing, as I always have, is going places Republicans typically don't go.
Right.
And I got to tell you, every time I do, I'm welcomed with open arms. This past weekend in Newark was another example, a community day, or the week before in Bayonne, with the Hispanic community in Patterson, the Hispanic community in Elizabeth, the Black community in Camden City. This is what we do every single day of the week. And it's really important for me to hear what's on their minds. It's really important for them to know that I care. It's really important for them to know that I will represent all 9.2 million citizens equally. Every single one of them deserves equal opportunity to achieve their American dream here in New Jersey.
Right.
And that's exactly what they'll get under Governor Ciattarelli.
Okay. So it's November 2nd.
November 2nd.
People are going into the election booth, and they're looking at it and say, okay, I know Phil Murphy the last 4 years, and the guy running against him, Jack Ciattarelli, don't know too much about him, but I've heard a lot of stuff about him. When they walk into that voting booth, and if they're hesitant at all, that means that they're really thinking about the current incumbent. That they're not pulling that lever for him. So, in your opinion, what makes you a better candidate on November 2nd when voters go into that booth, or even before when they have early voting, to vote for the governor of New Jersey?
First of all, if you think you're better off than you were 4 years ago, I suppose you're going to vote for Phil Murphy, and I respect that. I don't think a majority of New Jerseyans feel that way. But here's what they need to know about Jack Ciattarelli. Right. And I say this with the utmost, not to be immodest, with the utmost humility. Nobody's ever brought this kind of a background to a gubernatorial candidacy. Okay, I'm a lifelong New Jerseyan. I've never even left the state to go to college. I'm an MBA CPA. I'm a two-time business owner on Main Street that employed fellow New Jerseyans. And I've had the privilege of serving at every level of government here in New Jersey. Right. I was at the local level, so I know what potholes and public safety are all about. I was at the county level as a freeholder. I know what infrastructure and social services are all about. And I spent 3 two-year terms in the state legislature, the assembly, representing the 16th legislative district, which included Princeton. Right. That is an extremely unique background. And here's the other thing, Lou. I've got a very specific plan on how to fix New Jersey. You don't hear generalities or platitudes from Jack Ciattarelli. What you hear is specific plans. Some people might call that a liability because it gives the other side an opportunity to take all kind of pot shots.
Right.
I believe the voter deserves specifics on what it is you're going to do. We've talked about a number of those two things in our segment here and the one before, but they can also just go to the website, and it's all laid out there in black and white. That's what makes me unique, and I hope that's what earns their vote.
Okay. Well, Jack, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a great conversation, and hopefully on November 2nd, when the voters go to vote, and make sure you do vote, regardless of where you are or when you are. Make sure you vote early, vote often, and make sure you make an informed decision, and do the best you can. But I think one of the great things is to talk about where the candidates stand, and I thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Lou.
And being very forefront in your answers, and wish you the best of luck, and hope all goes well for you in November.
Well, I look forward to coming on after I'm elected, Lou.
Well, you came on here the day after you announced, and so now you're coming on right before the election, so maybe things happen in threes, who knows?
Looks good.
All right. Thank you very much, Jack, and thank you very much for watching. So I'm Lou Goldstein. I'll see you on another edition of Focus On next week. So until then, stay active, stay healthy, stay focused. Have a good night.